Hello, rock stars of the corporate world. Welcome to L&D Unbox again. And like I always say that, okay, yeah, we talk about L&D. But today we are talking beyond L&D, and that's like hiring talent. It's simple, right? But it's not because we keep on fighting a battle between brain and our heart. What's that battle is? Should we hire somebody who is a ninja skill or somebody who is very predictable and very slow in progress and who can get into the culture and the vision of the company and takes its own sweet time? And we all have been there, be it business managers, be it recruiters, and it has given sleepless nights to HR. But today is a great day. We have a rock star. We have Newton, who is L&D stalwart and comes from a different, various experience. I call it he's a Swiss knife of L&D in terms of experience because he comes from different aspect like hiring and about HR visions, about executive coaching and everything. I met him in Singapore in one of the conferences, and it was my pleasure, I always say. And something about Newton, he has traveled across the world because he started his life in Brazil and now he's in Japan. So isn't it great? I envy him. So let me not waste much of time and let's welcome Newton. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for agreeing and accepting the invite. It's my pleasure. It's everybody's pleasure who is listening to it. So, guys, put on your headphones and let's get into this journey. I'm sure there are so many things to look forward to. Over to you, Newton.
Oh, thank you so much, Pradeep, for your very kind words. But that's the first time I hear someone comparing me to a Swiss knife, which is very unique to me. But thank you. I hope I can meet your expectations and your audience's expectations as well. So thank you so much. It's a privilege for me to be here.
So, why do you think that debate between hiring a talent or somebody who takes its own sweet time but very predictable has become so relevant in today's time? Because I keep on hearing about it, and hiring managers are facing that dilemma, I would say. Because if I'm the hiring manager, I am actually attracted towards somebody who is a ninja and can deliver from the day one. But in a long run, if I see my management theories, then I say that, okay, you know what, you need predictable, somebody who's predictable and somebody who can adjust into this ever-changing environment or the culture of the organization. So that's my first question to you.
Thank you. Actually, that's a very insightful question, and thank you very much for asking. So, have you ever played Jenga? You know Jenga, the
Yes.
game, right?
Yes, I have. Yes, yes. That those building blocks,
So,
right?
if I could maybe have an analogy, using Jenga as an analogy, I would say the skills would be the blocks that you can replace, rearrange, but the base of the Jenga tower, I would say that's the character, which is the foundation of the tower. That's how I would use the Jenga analogy. So, of course, the hard skills, the technical skills are very important. And don't get me wrong, they have a very important role, especially when we hire people. But they also have an expiration date, right? So we know that certain technical skills that were relevant in the past are no longer around, especially when we look, for example, at different industries in manufacturing. When people used to manufacture floppy disks or CDs or LDs, some skills were needed. Remember Kodak, right? But not anymore. They are no longer needed. So that's what I mean by the Jenga analogy. You will be replacing some of those blocks, especially with the lightning pace of change in every industry that we have today, right? Some other things like the character traits, right? Like, for example, adaptability. or grit, which is a very important trait for leaders, especially in this crazy world we live in, right? Emotional intelligence. These are timeless traits. They have been around forever, and they're never getting old, and they have no expiration date. And actually, those traits that I just mentioned, they help people navigate change and collaborate, no matter what, how the change happens, or um, how things are happening in the world. So you can teach skills, basically. You can teach a new tool, but can you teach integrity? I think integrity would be a very tricky workshop to teach, right? So yeah, so that's my answer to your question. Did I address the question well?
Yeah, you did. You did. Because I understand there are courses available for, let's say, manufacturing, let's say,
Mm,
doing any hard skills, but there are no course available for integrity or how the communication should go. And I believe in that. Nobody taught us in school that, okay, in communication, it is more important to be a listener rather just
yeah.
keep saying, saying, saying. Nobody teach that. So yeah, that makes sense because that reminds me about this one word you said, self-discipline. And you rightly described that, am I able to work when nobody is watching? So since you said that, okay, the discussion is moving more towards the seeing those empathy, discipline, and all those things. And you also mentioned that skills, something is there today will not be relevant tomorrow. So now, how these hiring managers can strike a balance between these two things? Because, so for example, somebody is hiring for, let's say, programming, okay, and hiring today for programming in PHP language, right? So now the hiring manager is saying that, okay, are you good in PHP? Yeah, amazing. But I want to see how you're good in empathy, communication, and all those EQ aspect of your personality. So how to strike a balance between these two things? So yeah.
Yeah, I think your question is very, very good because I think the key word is balance. Striking that balance is the key. So it's like making the perfect cocktail, right? So if you put too much of one ingredient, maybe you can ruin the mix. So if we look at, for example, how to assess technical skills, right? Which in many cases is very important. So we can start with technical assessments like work samples or tests or other things, right? Then once we go into the character area, I think behavioral interviewing is good. If someone knows how to do it well, it's very, very efficient, very effective. Things like tell me about a time when you turn a workplace disaster into a win, for example. That would be a behavioral interviewing question, right? But I think the key is to really keep the process structured, but not robotic, which you don't want a checklist, right? You want to go through the process in a very balanced and natural way. So I also am a big fan of some psychometric tools that can be used throughout the process. But it is important that we choose well because there are so many out there. So if you look at the one of the famous ones, which is the Myers-Briggs psychometric tool, based on the psychologist Jung, right? That's based on Jung's research. I think that would be a good assessment, for example, to assess team building or young employees and all that, but should not be used for a hiring process. But if you look at, for example, other types of assessments, there is one, I also have it here on a piece of paper. I always forget the name, but the Watson-Glaser critical thinking appraisal. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but this is good for some skills like finance and law, but also very good to look at assessing candidates for higher positions, executive level, like top management. So which type of assessment should we use is the key, right? And we need to have the budget for it. That's a big issue as well for most companies. I think it's important, in my opinion, however, to choose the right one. And another thing I find quite effective is scenario-based questions, when we might be able to see a bit more of a candidate, right? How they can handle change, how can they handle conflict. So I see from my experience, um, there is a little bit of a poor lack of skills from many hiring managers to perform well when interviewing candidates. Most mainly focus on the job history, the technical knowledge, and the skills, but they are not able to spot the softer human skills and behavioral competencies that will make a whole world of difference, I believe. And we know how much it costs to hire a good candidate and how much it costs to lose someone after we hire them, right? Because we didn't hire well. So that's my take on this one.
So yeah, I agree. Actually, I'll tell you a couple of things. So what I do, and this your explanation actually reminded me of some ways of hiring I try to implement with my recruiter. So what we do is, firstly we say that, okay, are your basic matching up with the skill we are looking for? And we're not asking that, okay, you should be a rock star every time, but do you know the basics of it? Second is, do you want to make a career in this? So, for example, like sales, it's a very controversial hiring because people tend to get scared of sales, right? You must have seen, and I have seen, because of the number, because of that field battle and all those things, and so many rejections and all those things. So, my always question is that, okay, are you ready to make your career in sales? Then I say that, okay, you're not allowed to get demotivated.
Yeah.
Because demotivation is your girlfriend then, or your boyfriend, your best friend always in sales, because you carry them with you and you're not supposed to, or you're not allowed to, let me say that. Then
Mm.
I these couple of things I check, and this talks about character of that person. That's one thing. Second, which you said that, okay, the clarity, also I check. Something I say that, okay, hey, you know what is that ultimate goal you want to achieve in your life? People say, I want to be successful. Then I say, okay, what is the definition of successful? That shows that, okay, how clear is that mind in terms of goals, achievement about their life. So yeah, you rightly said that. So, does that mean, Newton? What is the percentage weightage you will give to skill checking and these aspects, more of psychology and psychometric test and all those things you said? How much weightage you will give, according to you, in the interview while hiring?
Now, that's a tough one. The skills are important, no doubt about it. But I usually use a sentence when people ask me what is more important, the skills or the character traits, right? So my answer is, okay, we should hire for character and we should train for skills. But of course, if you look at certain professions, an airline pilot, for example, if you hire an airline pilot, you expect this person to be highly skilled, and the skills play a bigger weight, right, in this whole scenario. But at the same time, you want a pilot who has a good character, not someone who is outside in their private life, gambling or an alcoholic. And we had some sad stories in the world where pilots were caught red-handed in the cockpit and completely drunk. So I would say, depending on the role, you have a little bit more weightage on one side than the other, but the character is always there. The foundation should be there. We should never focus mainly on the skills. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Bang on, because that was my next question. That okay, what role in what industries? And you already answered. And pilot is the best example I can tell you,
Uh,
because and you rightly said what character is he a gambler or a drug addict, but a great pilot. We need to see skills first, but yeah, we need to check these things also because of the security, safety, and danger to the lives. Yeah, so rightly said. So you said that okay, there are psychometric tests, but now AI is here and everybody's talking AI everywhere.
mm,
So is there any AI which can help in assessing this? That's one. And second, when organizations are working on skills as well as the character of a person, then is it helpful in long run retention or the business success for the organization? Because a flip point
mm,
is I'm an employee and I'm getting trained in both the ways, then I get
mm,
confidence. And the moment I see a bit great offer outside, I tend to jump. So there is a risk from the business side I'm talking about, and also from an employee side. Employee side, employees saying that, okay, hey, you know what? Thank you very much for training me. I also performed and contributed to your business, but it's about my growth. I'm going. Business is saying, hey, you know what? I invested. Come on, what are you doing? I was
mm.
expecting you to give me some predictability and visibility, and suddenly you're doing this. I hope you get this complex situation. What's your take on this, and how to handle such situation in this recruitment and retention and
Yeah.
employee-employer relationship?
Should I go to the first question about the AI and then
Yes, please.
address the second part? Okay. Okay. The AI, this is the new world. It's even hard for me or anyone, I believe, to really follow all these changes that are happening in the world right now. But I see a lot of potential in the AI. I think AI can be used as a supercharged assistant, maybe helping to spot some patterns, some red flags when in the hiring process. Some tools are able to evaluate skills through simulations. We can use AI to do that today. Even analyze a few soft skills by observing or analyzing how candidates communicate or solve problems. I see this as a great potential. But it's not the final word. It's not the magic. It's not a magic thing, right? I think it's AI is as good as the humans program it. It all depends on how humans program the AI, how humans feed the machine, or to so the machine can learn and can progress, right? So I think that is the key point. I think AI can help with insights and the analytical part of it, but it can't tell if someone, for example, will bring cupcakes to the office on their birthday. So I think that it's always important to pair the AI with the human touch. That's my view on AI today. I might change my views tomorrow because AI is changing every single time, every hour, right? Now, in terms of retention and the investment that the machines, the companies invest so much in developing people and teaching the skills and all that, and suddenly the employee decides to go. So the retention issue, right? I remember I had a very good friend of mine. I worked with this person for a long time, and he always told me there is a simple rule of three. You hire someone, and this person will have usually their 3 months period, what we call the probationary period, and they usually stay for the 3 months. So that's the first three. Then after the 3 months, you have probably 3 more months, which complete 6 months on the job. If we can retain this person, that's a plus. And after that, you have the 3 years. If you can keep that person working, performing well for the next 3 years, the ROI is met. After that, who knows, right? Because in this world today, the new generations, the young, they are hungry for new adventures and new challenges and all that. So they will look elsewhere. But if we can keep them for 3 years, that is very important for the company from an ROI perspective. Now, how can we keep them motivated and engaged? I think it all comes to aligning when we start hiring these people. I think it's important that we try our best to align their values with the company's values. If you look at every company or most companies in the world today, they usually have in their web page, they have, okay, that's our vision, or they call it mission or vision, or sometimes they have both. And usually they list a number of values or principles. So I always say, so the mission and the vision would be their why, right? The company's why. That's the reason they exist as a business. So that's their why. And the how is that how they reach their why is by following certain principles and values of character that are required for you to work in that company. So if you have a candidate that in the hiring process, in the interviewing, you can spot that this certain candidate is fully aligned or somehow aligned with some of those values and the vision that the company has, that's a plus because it increases the chance of us to keep that person engaged for a longer time, ideally for the next 3 years, right? Ideally. And that's one key element of that. So basically, if you like focusing on skills might get you quick wins, but focusing on the character part, the alignment of those values, this creates a little bit of a long-term victory. Skills will help them to hit the ground running, we know, but character ensures that they don't trip when the road gets bumpy, right? And people with strong character that are aligned with the organization, they not only perform well, but also lift the whole team, creating positive, resilient culture. So after all, we are trying to build cultures, right, in the hiring process. Any company that brings someone into their midst, they're trying to build a very strong culture. They're trying to build their community. And basically the future of that business based on their whys and the hows. And the whys is the vision, the mission, and the how are the values. That's how they do their business, right? So naturally, quality of management of leadership is a key element because we know a lot of people leave They don't leave companies, but they leave managers and bad leaders, right? Bad managers and bad leaders. So that's why it is so important for us to focus on not only developing the skills, but also developing the culture. And developing the culture, we should maybe have embedded in our leadership programs those values. So leadership programs, in my opinion, should be all designed, always thinking about the values, the mission, the vision of the company. And that's the basis of designing a good program in leadership. I could talk for many hours about that, but I'm going to stop here.
Thank you very much. And we try not to keep it too long so that people can watch in small chunks. And we'll talk about so many things we left in between. And I'm sure, like I said, everybody will be happy and everybody's taking something out of it. I am taking something out of it is like you gave that formula of 3-3-3, 3 months, 3 months, and then 3 years. Because I can relate to it in my whole life till now in professional arena. You rightly said, I can relate to so many people we have hired and worked with, and this 3-3-3 really matters the most. So thank you very much. And it's always a pleasure to talk with you.
No, I am the one who must thank you, Pradeep, and thank you, your audience. It was a pleasure for me to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit of my humble knowledge. I'm still learning a lot, but I'm always happy to share and share everything that I can with everyone, because I believe that's my contribution to a better world, sharing knowledge between everybody, right? Freely. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much.